I know what you're thinking, Jay. Monitor reviews are boring. Well, I'm telling you right now, the Pixio PX277 Pro is not your average monitor. So that's why we're talking about it.
We interrupt this video to bring you a special message from iFixit. No, we interrupt this interruption with this interruption about new stuff from iFixit. Wish you had a new graphics card, but inventory sucks? Fix the inventory problems with iFixit. Whoa, don't drop it. Can't fix that with iFixit. Just kidding, yes you can. Wish you could take iFixit with you anywhere, but your pockets aren't big enough? Introducing the new More
and the new Minnow.
Take them with you anywhere. So get iFixit for your loved ones, or just get them for yourself.
So first and foremost, a huge thank you to Pixio for sending us this panel and sponsoring today's video. You know, panel reviews are something we've kind of shied away from a little bit in the last couple of years because sort of like peripherals and stuff for the longest time, I stopped doing those reviews because it just wasn't anything exciting. Almost every panel on the market features IPS technology, which this one does. Almost every panel on the market features 144 to 165 hertz panel, which this one does. But it takes something different and unique to make a panel worth talking about on this channel, especially in 2022. And we'll get to what that uniqueness is after we get past the base specs, because let's face it, if it doesn't have some of the base specs that you need, even the coolest features are not going to be enough to entice you to want to upgrade or buy a new panel. So first and foremost, it has fast IPS technology, which is awesome because IPS color accuracy is so much better than things like TN panel, VA panels. You can use them for gaming, you can use them for content creation, and no longer do you have to have like your panels separately for photo editing and video editing, or have your panel for gaming because IPS technology for the longest time was limited to 60 FPS, 1 millisecond gray to gray. You can have the color accuracy and proper saturation levels of IPS in your gaming panels. So with 450 nit peak brightness, you're able to get pretty decent HDR levels out of either PC gaming or even console gaming, especially since all the next gen consoles do feature 60 hertz 4K HDR compatibility. You could use this as a console panel and be able to take advantage of HDR. HDR is one of those things that I think a lot of people are starting to come around and realize once they see it. It's kind of like high refresh rate. For the longest time, people were just like, 60 hertz is fine with me. 60 FPS is perfectly fine until you see 120 or 144, or in this case, 165. And then you realize like, oh, I get the buttery smoothness now people talk about. Now it is also a FreeSync and G-Sync compatible panel. So whether you're running an AMD graphics card or an NVIDIA graphics card, you're going to be able to enable the sync technology that you want, if you want to, and know that you're covered on both sides. It's got 20 degrees of up tilt, it's got 5 degrees of down tilt, and it's got 20 degrees of rotates on there. And then you've got 90 millimeters of height adjustment on here because it is a height adjustable panel. It's got your standard 100 by 100 VESA mount, so you can use an arm on here if you'd like to. It's got rubber feet on the bottom, so the panel won't be sliding all over the place. And the overall design of it is extremely minimalistic. Monitors, especially when gaming companies, and by gaming companies I mean companies that typically would make things like motherboards and graphics cards and such, started making panels, they started making them look just as ugly and gaudy as a lot of the graphics cards we've seen in the last several generations. The RGB on here is present, but minimalistic. So it's not something that is going to take over the aesthetic or the design, because as you can see by looking at the front, matte black, bezel, pretty decent bezel size in terms of being small. The panel is nearly edge to edge, and it's just extremely simplistic looking from the front. The RGB on the back is subtle. It's on the side edges. It will cause a little bit of backlight light bounce off your wall, so you get some subtle lighting without it being in your face. However, you can change the modes and disable it entirely if you don't want to. So it's not in your face when it comes, well, it's in your face because it's a monitor, but it's not in your face when it comes to the lighting and being all super gamery, because so many brands would load up the front side of a monitor with LED lights. So it makes it the perfect panel for either work, production, or play. What also makes it great about being extremely versatile in work, production, and play, it's not just the FreeSync and G-Sync 1 millisecond gray to gray, 165 hertz, 1440p, 27-inch panel that's simplistic and would work and fit in any space. But this is the first panel I've personally taken a look at on this channel that not only features all of that technology, but also features a USB-C DisplayPort alt with 65 watt charger built in. So I actually have my laptop hooked up to this panel right now, and if Nick would go ahead and wiggle the mouse, you'll see that the keyboard and mouse are hooked up to the panel, and the panel is connected to my laptop with just a USB-C plug, charging the laptop at the same time. But with it being a 65 watt charger, obviously that's going to be a slow charge mode However, still a charge mode. So if you're using this as a hub, which in my opinion makes this an amazing work from home / play from home / use my laptop with a dock at home and then take it to work and have everything connected to your monitor, means that with this one cable, and watch what happens when I disconnect it. With this one cable, boom, everything goes off. My monitor just went back, and my laptop just went back to single panel mode. But check this out. Not gonna touch a dang thing on the monitor. You can see it even turned itself off. If I plug this in now to the USB-C-PD port, it will automatically switch everything on and it will go back exactly as you left it. Takes a few seconds, but USB is just initiated, panel is on, and if Nick would go ahead and wiggle the mouse one more time, you can see that took about 10 seconds at the most for everything to be up and initialized. So if you wanted a single panel that is capable of, having all the features that you'd expect, be a gaming panel, have the accuracy and the color accuracy of being able to edit on it, work on it, create on it, game on it, without looking gaudy, without being embarrassing, this is an amazing panel. Now let's talk about the Kvm Switch for a second. You can have a couple of different configurations here. You can have one computer like this connected to the monitor with keyboard and mouse, and that's just data traveling through the USB-C. So that's not technically a Kvm switch. A Kvm switch at this point would be if we wanted one panel and two computers, or two panels, two computers, one keyboard and mouse. So because we have a USB-C data port on the back here, which obviously has a 65-watt charging, which I'm gonna mention over and over because that's awesome. You could charge your phones, you could charge your MacBooks, you could charge your regular PC laptops. Because this laptop has an RTX 3080 in it, the 65 watts over the USB-C would not be enough to keep this charged while under full tilt gaming, which means that we would end up seeing FPS caps and slowdowns and burning the battery at the same time because there's just simply not enough charge coming through here. It's designed to slow charge something while everything's connected to it and you're using it without draining your battery, but not necessarily for a 280 watt laptop like this is, 65 watts. Won't give you all the boost that you need if you're trying to use it for a gaming setup. So I'd still recommend if you're gonna game on this and you wanna use this setup here, have your laptop charger plugged in. Data connection wise though, this panel also features a LAN port in the back of it. So all that data is going through the USB-C. Now here's one thing to mention. So we were actually capping out the 100 megabits on the download, and that's just the limitation now at this point of either we think it might be 100 megabits, NIC inside here, or it could be just a limitation of the data bandwidth of the cable. But with that being said, in terms of the KVM, now that you can see this monitor itself can become your at-home hub, you have the internet connected to it, you have a mouse and keyboard connected to it. You could have two computers, one monitor, one set of peripherals, or you could have two monitors, two computers, one set of peripherals. Because you have a USB 3 hub on the back and a USB-C, so you have two connection points. You could have the USB 3 going to one computer and you have the USB-C going to the other computer. One thing you need to keep in mind though is when you KVM switch to whichever input it is that you want, the other device is not getting any of that data or any of that signal. So if you were using the built-in NIC on the back of the monitor to download on one device and then you KVM switch to the other one, well, you KVM switch the connection too. So the KVM won't work, or the download connection won't work on the machine that's not currently KVM switched to. So that's the downside of a KVM switch. Although it is a perk just having internet connected to this at all, but the 100 megabit limit is something that might obviously be a problem. If you have a 100 megabit connection or slower, then you're fine. But in this case, we have gigabit here and we weren't getting obviously that full connection. Something else to note is if you are gonna connect external storage to the monitor on that USB hub connected to the system like this as a USB-C connection, not KVM specifically, but if you're connecting in a hub, one cable to the laptop and you want external storage over here, we were running a Samsung Evo drive, a SATA SSD on a drive sled connected to the monitor, and the cable's data connection speed seems to be USB 2.0 at that point because we were getting 39 megabytes per second sequential 1 gigabyte download speed. And when we connected that same sled to the laptop itself, we were getting 400, which is much closer to the limitations of SATA drives. Although not as universal in terms of speed as you'd expect, it's perfect if you want to have it connected just peripherals and a charging cable here. Now, if you want to get the full speed of your download, you'd obviously want to put your LAN connected to whatever your laptop or your desktop is, any drives and stuff, which then you're adding more cables. But in this particular use case of just having one cable connected to your laptop providing a charge, makes it just kind of a no-brainer. It's an extra feature built into the monitor that really is what makes it set itself apart from other panels in the industry. Now, the amazing thing about this panel is its price. It's not nearly as expensive as I would have expected it to be. All of those features, once again, HDR, 450 nit, 165 hertz refresh rate, 1 millisecond gray to gray, FreeSync compatible, G-Sync compatible, USB-C DisplayPort and charging, 65 watts over a single cable, and a KVM switch and a LAN port built into it for $369 at the time of making this video. So you can see it's a pretty decent panel to kind of fill a lot of gaps a lot of people have, especially in this, I have to be versatile as I'm moving around because the world keeps changing kind of a thing. Makes it a panel definitely worth considering. The color is extremely uniform. There's no dead pixels. The 1 millisecond and the 165 hertz refresh rate was obviously apparent. It's super smooth. I don't have anything negative to say about it. So anyway, once again, thanks to Pixio for sending us this panel to take a look at. I will put a link down in the description below. Please go and check it out if you're shopping for monitors. Whether you've heard of Pixio or not, they are definitely making strides in the right direction to push the entire industry forward when it comes to the way we think about panels. You look at the thing every day. You might as well at least utilize it the best way possible, which means add more stuff in there that make your life a little bit easier. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.